Hey guys, it's the Sports Trader, and I want to thank you for watching this podcast. Before we go into the clip, I just want to remind you guys we have our new $2 club. If you guys want to join the $2 club and get some of the best in sports, along with supporting some really cool guys like us, then click the link that's in the description below. It's the $2 club. It's a revolutionary club in sports, and I could tell you more, but just click the link below, and trust me, you'll love it. Let's get on with the clip. Now, we are talking about Cap Casualties, and Ben Roethlisberger could be one of them. Now, Lance is one of our head writers over at What's on Sports, and he's currently writing out some really cool pieces on cap casualties that could be coming up, and he's breaking it down by each division. So today we're going to actually talk about one division that you've been really studying a lot, Lance, and cap casualties that you think may happen. Now, for those of you that don't know it out there, let me just break it down for you guys. The salary cap was projected to be somewhere over $200 million, 210, 250, maybe even 220 before the season happened. Now, with COVID, there were no fans in the stands, or very few fans in the stands. So the NFL has to lower their salary cap. The salary cap for each year is based off the revenue from the prior year. So this year, obviously, the NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, everybody made less money. So the salary cap is going to go down next year. So I think if you heard Lance talk about that earlier in the show, he said that it's projected to be like a 175, 180. I saw 181 the other day. It's much, much lower than any team anticipated. So when teams build their contracts out year by year, they'll do a 5-year projection on their salary cap, and they keep a track of what's going on, thinking that the salary cap is going to be 210, 220, and instead it's 180. So they're basically, every team in the NFL has got $30 million less that they can spend, that they have to figure out how to work with. Now, if you're a team like Pittsburgh or New Orleans, you work your team right up against that cap. So because of it, a lot of guys are going to get cut, and they're called cap casualties. So Lance has a list in the NFC-East of 4 or 5 or 6. I don't know how many guys you got, but some really interesting cap casualties. I can't wait to hear it, Lance. Who you got?
Okay, so let's start with the Dallas Cowboys, John. So I guess the biggest cap casualty for the Dallas Cowboys is Jalen Smith. So he's a linebacker. He only had 1 interception, 5 passes defended, and 89 solo tackles for the Cowboys. So he made the Pro Bowl in 2019, but for some reason in 2020, he was just a different guy. He had difficulty defending the run. He had difficulty rushing the quarterback. He was just a different person, just like what happened to Carson Wentz on offense for Philadelphia. That's what happened to Jalen Smith with the Cowboys on the defense. So most likely his $7.2 million salary will be slashed. It will be taken off the cap before the deadline so that the Cowboys can save money, because they have to sign a lot of free agents, most especially the deal for Dak Prescott.
I always call this there's a sickness out there, and it's called big guys get paid. And big guys get paid, and all of a sudden their play starts to decline. Maybe for a year it's pretty good, and then they start to think to themselves, well, I got $10 million in the bank. You know, I what do I care? What are they going to do? Cut me? I'll play one more year. So, you have a contract, $7 million a year. You play 2-3 years, you end up with $15 million in your bank after you pay your taxes, your agents, everything like that. And I think you don't care anymore. It takes a special kind of player to play a long time in the NFL. I mean, a really driven Tom Brady kind of guy who just really loves what he's doing. So it's very interesting that you brought him up. I'll be interested to see what they do. Dallas has definitely got some cap things they have to work out. So be interested to see who else you got. Who else you got on Dallas, by the way?
That's the biggest cap casualty for Dallas.
Okay. Tell me some more people out of the NFC East.
Okay, so let's go to the Philadelphia Eagles, John. And actually, this is a group of people that I think would be cap casualties. A group of people. And this somehow dictates their priority in the coming 2021 NFL draft, if they get lucky. So we're talking about 3 wide receivers here, John. Alshon Jeffrey, Deshaun Jackson, and Marquise Goodwin.
Yeah.
All underperformed last year for Philadelphia. So Carson Wentz again gets consolation because he had a shitty
Yeah.
group of receivers that did not perform well. So you can also include Zach Ertz there, but that's another subject because he has a high count against the cap. But the most immediate cap casualty for me for Philadelphia are those three receivers. And if they cut those three, either they sign new players in free agency or take new wide receivers through the draft.
I'm always fascinated by certain teams that just have not been able to get certain positions to work for them. You know, you look at the Chicago Bears, they can't seem to get a quarterback. Philadelphia has such a huge problem actually trying to get and keep wide receivers. I mean, you think back and try to think about the best wide receivers in Philadelphia history. Well, Terrell Owens is the first one that comes to mind. He came in as a free agent. I like Deshaun Jackson. I thought Deshaun Jackson was good. Michael Quick was the guy they had back when I was actually a kid. But I can't really think of a lot of great Philadelphia wide receivers. No matter who they bring in, it always seems to either be a problem, some type of drama, or some type of nonsense, or the player underperforms. They've drafted the position so much over the last few years and just been unable to fill that position. So if they were to cut all three guys and move into free agency to try to find somebody else, that's a lot of space to fill, man. You got to maybe they go back in the draft again. I don't know. It'll be interesting to find out. Who else you got?
Okay, so next team for the NFC-East, the New York Giants. And I guess the biggest name out of these cap casualties would be Golden Tate, wide receiver. Let's face it, usually when wide receivers hit the age of 30 and beyond, they decline. That's just a normal progression in the NFL, even running backs. So for Golden Tate last season, he did play 12 games, but he only had 35 catches, 388 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So it's most certainly, or it's like a done deal that Tate will not be back for New York next season, and that will create about $6 million in cap savings for the New York Giants.
Yeah, you know, when they signed Tate, Tate was supposed to be the guy. He was going to give Eli Manning this brand new weapon and then give Daniel Jones this brand new weapon. And I like Golden Tate. Golden Tate was compared a lot to one of my favorite football players of all time, Hines Ward. Very hard-nosed guy, not afraid to block, runs really tight routes, good hands, but he just can't stay healthy. Unlike Hines Ward, who never left the football field, this guy just can't stay healthy. So I don't think there's a future for Golden Tate in this league anymore, unfortunately, because of that. So if you're right and he becomes a cap casualty, I think Golden Tate might be done altogether. So there's one more team left. It's the Washington Redskins. Who's the cap casualty for the Redskins?
Okay, so this is the easiest cap casualty out of the 4 teams in the NFC East, and I think it's Alex Smith. Even though he wanted to come back, though he had the desire, after an inspirational comeback story that is, John, of course, we all know what happened. He nearly died because of his injury, to say the least. And he came back, started some games, and then got injured again. But still, his resilience cannot be questioned after that. But unfortunately, Washington has a lot of questions to answer in terms of cap space because they have to sign a lot of people, and they only have $41 million in cap space. And Alex Smith counts for $24 million if he comes back. So he eats up most of that cap space if he comes back.
Wow.
And mind you that they just signed Taylor Heineke to a 2-year, $4.75 million contract, which is a bit high for a backup.
Yeah.
So Ron Rivera might be leaning towards Heineke because of that move, and maybe Alex Smith's days in Washington are numbered already.
That's an interesting cap cut. Like if he were to be a cap cut, I find it hard to believe that he doesn't find his way on a team somewhere. If you think about what he did for Patrick Mahomes and the education that he gave Patrick Mahomes on how to be a professional, because Alex Smith is by all accounts a really good guy. I would be shocked if that guy doesn't pick up a job somewhere right away. Now he's not going to make $20 million, but he very well could make $4 or $5 or $6 million as a key backup for somebody, or maybe even a bridge quarterback for a team that goes out and drafts a young guy. So maybe you look at the Jets. The Jets, they trade Darnold, they sign Alex Smith, and they draft a guy who's like maybe the other Smith from BYU, and they bring him in and they say, hey, you know what? You're going to mentor this kid the same way you mentored Patrick Mahomes. And maybe Alex Smith was part of that recipe that helped Patrick Mahomes become the quarterback that he is. I think that's something that you're really going to look into. If I'm Washington, I try to go back in and renegotiate the contract. And I say, look, I'm going to draft a young guy. I'm going to bring in the kid from Alabama or somebody like that. And I want you to be the guy who mentors him. Or maybe Heineke's the guy, and I want you to mentor him. But either way, it sucks to lose a high character, super talented guy like Alex Smith. But I totally get it if it's going to be like a cap cut, man. Hey, that's a great list, Lance. You did a fantastic job. Hey, you watched all the way until the end. That's awesome. Well, listen, here's some more clips you guys are going to like. Click those. And also, if you love the show and you want a lot more of what we do, click the link in the description below. It'll take you over to our $2 club. That's right. It's a $2 club. And it'll show you all of the amazing, awesome things that you'll get for just $2. It's the best deal in sports, and we invite you to join our club today. It's the $2 club at whatsonsports.com. See you there.